A wounded spirit beast is lured into a trap by a massive ant swarm, only for the hidden Ant King to reveal itself and trigger a brutal reversal ending in a catastrophic self-destruction. If you're interested in more content, I've shared additional audio stories on my website, link in the description below. The next day, Xiao stood on top of a tall hill, looking at the endless dense forest in the distance. He sighed in his heart. Ever since he arrived in Forest Domain, he had been rushing towards Star Moon Spirit Domain for almost 3 months. He still hadn't walked out of this huge forest. Xiao couldn't help but have a deeper understanding of the boundless world. This holy rank trial is actually so terrifying. Just this long journey alone will eliminate half of the trial participant. Xiao sighed. He rested for a while before moving again. After another 2 days of traveling, Xiao was just about to sit down on a green rock and rest for a while when he was suddenly attracted by the 2 powerful auras that suddenly erupted not far ahead of him. How is this possible? There are actually other people here, and their strength is also so strong. They are almost at the intermediate 8-star realm. Xiao face was full of shock. The other aura seems to be Devil Beast. It should also have the strength of intermediate 8-star. Xiao licked his lips and thought for a while. He lowered his aura to the lowest level and rushed over with light footsteps. He nimbly jumped onto a huge tree and pushed aside the thick branches and leaves. Xiao looked down and saw a bare-chested man with a sturdy body holding a huge wolf-tooth club. Opposite the man was a man-tall lion with a fierce look in its eyes. It stared at the man with its bell-sized eyes, and the sound of saliva being swallowed could be heard from its throat. In the next moment, the cracking lion let out a low roar. It suddenly pounced on the man. As the man had his back to Xiao could not see the latter's expression clearly. However, the moment before the lion pounced on him, the man's body swayed slightly, and he easily dodged it. Before the lion could launch its second attack, the man turned his body sideways. Xiao also saw the man's face clearly at this moment. The man had a face that was completely different from his sturdy physique. He was very delicate and pretty. His eyes were long and narrow, giving people a cold feeling. The man behind him smiled slightly and said in a cold voice, "It's just a middle-stage 8-star devil beast. How dare you have designs on me?" With a sneer, the man waved his wolf-tooth club and charged at Li Shi, who opened his mouth wide and spat out a mouthful of blood. Li Shi roared angrily and was about to pounce on him when the man who had already rushed in front of Li Shi suddenly let out a cold snort. Xiao saw a red light suddenly shoot out from the man's body, and it disappeared in a flash. At the same time, a powerful aura burst out from the man's body and then quickly disappeared. It was so fast that Xiao even suspected that it was an illusion. When the light appeared, a bone-cracking sound could be heard. Then the man appeared in front of the devil beast. The mace in his hand was stained with traces of blood. Behind him, the lion howled in pain. Suddenly, the light in its eyes faded, and it fell heavily to the ground. He had defeated a devil beast that was also at the intermediate 8-star realm with a single strike. Xiao could not help but be shocked. Just who was this person? He was actually so powerful. Just as Xiao was surprised, the man who had lowered his head suddenly said, "Friend on the tree." Yes. Xiao felt bad. He had already suppressed his qi to a very low level. He didn't expect to be discovered by the man. He jumped down from the tree and forced a smile at the man. He said respectfully, "I, Xiao just passed by and saw that my brother had extraordinary skills. I stopped to watch. I mean no harm." The man smiled and looked at Xiao carefully with his long and narrow eyes. He held the mace in his arms and said, "I didn't expect to see humans in such a desolate and remote place." "Ha ha." Hearing the man's laughter, Xiao let out an unnoticeable sigh of relief. Luckily, this muscular man wasn't someone who would start a fight without saying a word. "I am Man Yun." As he observed Xiao, a trace of shock flashed across the man's eyes. If it wasn't for the fact that he had entered a frenzied state when he killed the lion, he wouldn't have been able to detect this black-clothed man. While thinking, Man Yun began to estimate Xiao Yan's strength in his heart. Man Yun. Xiao Yan's expression changed as he recalled the bronze warship from that night. He could not help but ask, could it be that Brother Man is from the Barbarian domain? Man Yun's eyebrows twitched when he heard this. A painful look flashed across his long and narrow eyes. He nodded with a calm expression and said, "That's right. The trial in the Barbarian domain has always been in the Forest domain. I am the trial participant this time around." Man Yun did not hide anything. His expression was not as cold as before. He looked at Xiao Yan, who looked like a human. A vague image of a kind girl appeared in Man Yun's mind. Perhaps it was because he was the same kind of person as the girl. When Man Yun spoke to Xiao Yan, there was an unnoticeable smile on his face. "Mister, Xiao dared to venture into the forest domain alone. I'm sure he isn't an ordinary person." Man Yun raised his eyelids. Man Yun smiled and said. Xiao Yan smiled bitterly and shook his head after hearing Man Yun's words. He told Man Yun about the Holy Rank trial. Man Yun could not help but feel relieved when he heard this. He frowned and said, "These 3 requests, they are indeed abnormal. They are even more difficult than our trials." Xiao Yan subconsciously said, "Your trial is..." Xiao Yan felt bad the moment he said that. Why did he ask such a question? Man Yun's expression did not change. He said 2 words plainly, "We are from the same race killing each other." Xiao Yan was shocked. He looked around and said, "There are trial participants from the Barbarian domain here." Man Yun nodded and said, "That's right. Every time our Barbarian domain trials, we believe in the survival of the fittest. Every child from the Barbarian domain who has reached the 6-star Dao Sovereign Realm must participate in the trials. In the Forest domain, every 2 of them will be assigned to the same region to complete the trial. Only one of them can live." Hearing Man Yun's tone, there was a hint of resentment. Xiao Yan did not know what to say. Although the trial in the Barbarian region was cruel, according to the introduction of the Great World, every person in the Barbarian region had a strong physique. A top warrior must have something to do with this sort of trial. Besides this, we also need to kill a devil beast. Only by personally obtaining its monster core can the trial be considered complete. Xiao Yan looked at Man Yun. He said, "This shouldn't be too difficult, right? Based on Brother Man's strength, just now obtaining a monster core isn't easy." As he spoke, Xiao Yan recalled the lightning technique Man Yun used to kill the lion. With a bitter smile, Man Yun glanced at the lion on the ground. He said, "If I need this kind of monster core, I can get more than 10 in a day. But what we need in the trial is spirit beasts from spirit cores." Spirit cores. When Xiao Yan heard this, he immediately became somewhat speechless. Even the weakest of spirit beasts is several times stronger than a 9-star Dao Di. It was comparable to the realm of a human sovereign. With Man Yun's strength of intermediate 8 stars, it was indeed somewhat difficult. Furthermore, after we obtain the spirit core, the elders will use the secret arts to transfer the energy within the spirit core into our bodies. This is the reason why the people of the Barbarian domain are far stronger than the others. Therefore, the better the spirit core you obtain for the first time, the more beneficial it will be for your future growth. Xiao Yan nodded as if he had experienced the same thing. This was his usual style. It was something useful to him. He would do his best to get the best, just like the Holy Rank trial this time. "Then is there another person in this region, Brother Man?" Xiao Yan suddenly said. After saying this, Xiao Yan immediately felt Man Yun's face turn extremely cold. The hand that held the mace also began to tremble. After a while, Man Yun let out a long breath. The hatred in his eyes quickly retreated and said, "That bastard. I will definitely kill him." "Oh right, mister. Xiao, can you do me a favor?" Man Yun suddenly asked. Xiao Yan was startled. He looked into Man Yun's eyes, which were filled with hope. As if he had thought of something, he nodded slightly and said, "Man Yun, please speak." Man Yun was delighted. He said, "I have already observed a spirit beast, but it is still a little difficult for me to kill it alone. Mister, can you help me?" Xiao Yan asked suspiciously, "Can someone help me during the trial?" Man Yun smiled. This kind of trial not only tests strength, but also strength. I was able to meet Mr. Xiao in this vast forest. This can be considered a kind of luck. Xiao Yan pondered for a moment and said, "What level is that spirit beast?" "It's a low-level spirit beast. Its strength is roughly equivalent to 3 human Grand Emperors." Xiao Yan was instantly stunned. It had reached the peak of the 9 stars of the Combat Emperor realm. The Origin Monarch crystal transformed into the Tao and advanced a step further. He was a sovereign. At the level of a sovereign, what he absorbed was no longer ordinary Origin Monarch Qis. Instead, the Origin Monarch Qi contained an even purer and more powerful energy. When the energy he absorbed condensed into one stream within his body, his strength would increase exponentially, and after 10 streams were condensed. When the 10 parts of the Origin Monarch Qi were condensed into one part, the strength of the Origin Monarch Qi would advance to a higher level. As for the 3 spirit beasts with the strength of emperors, they were much stronger than the 9-star Dao Di Devil beasts. As soon as the words left his mouth, Man Yun hurriedly said, "That 3 Emperor Warrior spirit beasts seem to have suffered some injuries. At most, they can only use half of their strength." Hearing this, Xiao Yan felt a little relieved. Facing Man Yun's hopeful gaze, Xiao Yan also smiled. Okay. 2 figures were moving quickly in the dense forest. After running for a while, Xiao Yan suddenly said, "Brother man, I have read some books that said that there is a northern barbarian palace in the Barbarian region. What does the northern barbarian king's mansion mean?" Man Yun was startled. After a while, he slowly said, "The Barbarian domain. Although it is not as vast and boundless as the forest domain, it is an extremely mysterious and bloody place. During the ancient times, after the legendary barbarian god who created the Barbarian domain disappeared, the 4 generals of the Barbarian god ruled the Barbarian domain on behalf of the Barbarian god. For some reason, the Barbarian region was divided into the 4 royal residences of the north, south, east, and west. The 4 great kings' residences completely ruled the Barbarian region, and I am a member of the Northern Barbarian Imperial Residence." When he mentioned the last 4 words, Man Yun's face actually carried a trace of an undetectable coldness. When Xiao Yan heard Man Yun's words, he couldn't suppress the shock in his heart. Opening up the Barbarian domain, how powerful was this kind of strength? God of Barbarian. Xiao Yan silently remembered this name. "Oh right, brother man, I occasionally saw a huge black bird that blotted out the sun flying across the sky. That huge bird is..." Xiao Yan's mind suddenly moved as he asked. Man Yun, who was flying at a fast speed, heard this and pondered for a moment before saying, "I heard from the elder that the huge bird is one of the most powerful existences in the forest domain. It is called the Azure Ancient Profound Bird. Its strength is inestimable. It is said that it is one of the guardians of the forest domain." Guardians? Xiao Yan was shocked. He had never seen such a name in the great world. Man Yun thought for a moment and said, "Mr. Xiao, you don't know. There were a total of 10 regions in this great world. Each region was not as simple as a region. There are a lot of things that we can't understand now." Xiao Yan understood what Man Yun meant when he heard Man Yun's ambiguous words. He nodded and did not say anything. This world was even more interesting than he had imagined. After following Man Yun for nearly 2 hours, Xiao Yan and Man Yun finally stopped in front of a patch of grass. Looking around, Man Yun pointed at a huge tree that was dozens of meters tall. Xiao Yan immediately understood what Man Yun meant. He jumped a few times and stood firmly on the tree. Man Yun smiled. His strong body did not affect his agility at all. Soon he also stood on the tree. This spirit beast is called the Black Demon Wolf. It has a natural ability called the Demon Eye. If you are hit by the Demon Eye, it is very likely that you will faint or your body will slow down. Although the Black Demon Wolf King's strength is too weak, it has suffered some injuries. However, when I was swept by the Demon Eye, my body still paused for 3 to 4 seconds. I was almost slapped to death. Man Yun smiled bitterly and pointed at the acupoints not far below. The Black Demon Wolf King will come out to hunt for food at this time of day. When the time comes, I will defend against its attack. Mr. Xiao only needs to attack. Man Yun looked at Xiao Yan. He consciously took out the most difficult mission. Xiao Yan thought for a moment and said, I don't know what Brother Man's true strength is. Man Yun was stunned. He cursed himself and said hurriedly, My strength is at the intermediate 8-star fighting monarch. After going berserk, I can temporarily reach the early 9-star strength. The Black Demon Wolf King was currently injured and only had the strength of a single sovereign. I can barely block the attack of the Black Demon Wolf King, even if I use my full strength. Is berserk? Xiao Yan's heart skipped a beat. He recalled the moment before Man Yun killed the lion. Although it wasn't very strong to temporarily raise his strength from intermediate 8-star to early 9-star, it was absolutely rare. Berserk transformation is one of the secret skills in the Barbarian domain. It is divided into 10 colors. The deeper the color, the greater the increase in strength. Right now, I am only the first color red. I can only increase my strength by a little bit. The stronger I become in the future, the more strength I will have after I enter the Berserk transformation. After Man Yun finished speaking, he looked at Xiao Yan with the same burning gaze. Xiao Yan looked at him and understood. He smiled bitterly and stretched out his right hand. A crimson gold flame jumped out from his palm and turned into a small fire baby in front of Man Yun's surprised eyes. With Brother Man's eyesight, can you tell its strength? Xiao Yan said with a smile. Man Yun swallowed a mouthful of saliva. His long and narrow eyes were filled with shock. He mumbled, This flame is really strange. It can transform into a human form. It doesn't look like a beast fire, and it doesn't look like the ones mentioned in the clan's books. Under Xiao Yan's puzzled gaze, he nodded and said, All right, I'll leave it to Mr. Xiao then. Looking at Man Yun's solemn expression, Xiao Yan also nodded slightly. Xiao Yan couldn't explain why he agreed to Man Yun's request. It might be because Man Yun was the first human he had met in Forest Domain, or perhaps it was because they were both trial participant. It might also be because Xiao Yan wanted to test the power of the spirit beast from the bottom of his heart. After a while, in a cave not far below, a black wolf that was about the height of a man and covered in hyena hair that was like needles walked out. The black wolf's eyes were dark, and there was a bloody wound on its abdomen, causing it to stagger as it walked. Seeing the black wolf walk out, Xiao Yan and Man Yun looked at each other. They could see the seriousness in each other's eyes. This black wolf was a genuine spirit beast. Although it was injured, it was not something that could be easily dealt with. Mr. Shaw, be careful. Man Yun looked at the slowly approaching black demon wolf. A trace of determination flashed across his slender eyes. He said to Xiao Yan softly, and was about to go into a frenzied state. Xiao Yan, who had been using his soul power to observe his surroundings, was about to give it his all when his expression suddenly changed. He pulled Man Yun back and looked at a hill not far away under the latter's bewildered gaze. Dong, Dong, Tonga. In the next moment, Xiao Yan, Man Yun, and the black-eyed demon wolf on the ground felt the ground shaking. Under the surprised gazes of the two men and beast, countless fist-sized black ants rushed over. This is... Man Yun couldn't help but widen his eyes when he saw this. Although these little black ants only had the strength of a 2- or 3-star Do sovereign, Xiao Yan looked at the direction the ant swarm was heading towards and... The black demon wolf kept roaring like it was facing a great enemy. He then understood a little. He also let out a long sigh and said, This is a giant jaws ant. It lives in groups. Each group has at least 1,000 of them. 1,000. Upon hearing this number, Man Yun's delicate and pretty face couldn't help but change. His hand that was holding the tree branch trembled slightly as he looked at the swarm of ants that looked like locusts. Passing by, he immediately gritted his teeth. These giant jaws ants were obviously aimed at the black demon wolf. With thousands of giant jaws ants, even if the black demon wolf king was a spirit beast, it would not be able to withstand them. Furthermore, he was still injured. It wasn't easy for him to find a target. He was actually destroyed by this group of black ants. Feeling Man Yun's anger and helplessness, Xiao Yan said softly, "Brother Man, don't worry. The black demon wolf is a spirit beast after all. Just the pressure alone is enough to make the giant jaws ant unable to exert its full strength. Furthermore, if the black demon wolf wants to escape these giant jaws, ants won't be able to stop it." Hearing Xiao Yan's words, Man Yun's eyes lit up again. He looked down at the black demon wolf that was facing the ants. Xiao Yan looked at the ants below and suddenly frowned. A bad feeling spread from the bottom of his heart. Roar. The black devil wolf stared at the hundreds and thousands of giant jaws ants in front of it with its black eyes. Even though it was a spirit beast, it was still somewhat restless. It kept letting out deep roars from its throat, and the pressure of the spirit beast was completely released. The powerful pressure immediately caused the ant colony to become a little chaotic. They obviously slowed down their pace, and the sharp cries of the ants kept coming from the ant colony. The black demon wolf saw that the pressure was effective. It let out a long roar and pounced on the ants. With its strength as a lower-grade spirit beast, it was no match for these ants. The giant jaws ant of a 2- or 3-star Dodi could not be any more relaxed. Not a single one of them survived under the sharp claws of the wolf. Wherever the black demon wolf went, the giant jaws ants would all be defeated. In less than a moment, when the black demon wolf entered the middle of the thousands of ants, there were already dozens or hundreds of giant jaws ants that were killed by the wolf claws. Xiao Yan looked at the group of giant jaws ant that had been slaughtered by the black demon wolf king, and the uneasiness in his heart grew stronger and stronger. He looked at Man Yun, who was standing beside him, and the latter's face was filled with doubt. "Mister, Xiao, let's retreat a little. Why do I have a bad feeling about this? After all, Man Yun was living in a bloody and mysterious place like the Barbarian domain. He had seen a lot of things. He had some doubts in his heart when he saw such a one-sided massacre, so he said in a deep voice. Xiao Yan nodded and didn't say anything. The two of them quickly descended the tree like spiritual monkeys. Taking advantage of the fact that the black demon wolf and giant jaws ant were distracted by each other, Xiao Yan and Man Yun quickly retreated. The two of them had just left this place. Then, a huge black ant that was 2 to 3 times larger than an ordinary giant jaws ant appeared on the slope. The moment the huge black ant appeared, as if receiving an order, the giant jaws ant, which had been completely routed, once again regained their spirit. They turned a blind eye to the pressure of the black demon wolf king and rushed towards it. When the huge black ant appeared, the black demon wolf king let out a furious roar. Its voice actually contained a rare trace of fear. Immediately it turned around and wanted to escape. However, because it had entered deep into the ant swarm earlier, the black demon wolf king had long been surrounded by the giant jaws ant and had no way out. Although Xiao Yan and Man Yun had left far away, they were still shaken by the hissing sound, causing the blood and qi in their bodies to boil. Their chests felt stuffy. Xiao Yan coughed dryly and looked at the huge black ant on the hill. His eyes widened. After a long while, he smiled bitterly at Man Yun and said, "I was wondering why this group of giant jaws ants would lure the enemy into the depths. It turned out that the giant jaws ant king was commanding them from behind. This time the black demon wolf is dead for sure." Man Yun looked at the giant jaws ant king on the tall slope. Sensing that the latter's strength far exceeded the black demon wolf king's, he could only helplessly nod his head. With the appearance of the giant jaws ant king, the originally grain-sized green eyes of all the giant jaws ants turned red. They hissed as they pounced towards the black demon wolf king. The black demon wolf king was caught off guard and was thrown in front of the giant jaws ant. Immediately the wolf's fur flew in all directions and blood splashed everywhere. Roar! With a furious roar, the black demon wolf king was completely enraged. Its dark black eyes were filled with hints of light, and its body trembled. It shook off the giant jaws ant on its body and looked at the giant jaws ant king in the distance with fear in its eyes. Then it turned around and ran back. Under the black demon wolf's brutal charge, Many of the giant jaws ants in front of it were knocked away, and they fell to the ground while wailing. Taking the risk of adding a few more wounds on its body, the Black Demon Wolf King finally escaped from being surrounded by ants. At this moment, the Black Demon Wolf was in a very sorry state. Its body was bleeding non-stop, and the wound on its abdomen was even more severe. Man Yun resisted the urge to kill the Black Demon Wolf and watched helplessly as the Black Demon Wolf limped out of the ants' colony. Right at this moment, the giant jaws Ant King in the distance suddenly moved. Like a black cannonball, it shot towards the Black Demon Wolf King. In just a few breaths' time, the giant jaws Ant King had arrived in front of the latter. With a wild roar, the Black Demon Wolf King opened its mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. It fiercely bit at the giant jaws Ant King. The giant jaws Ant King's body shrunk into a black ball. The wolf teeth bit on the black ball, and the sound of its teeth cracking was heard. The Black Demon Wolf King endured the intense pain and was just about to escape when the giant jaws Ant King stretched its body once again and rammed into the Black Demon Wolf King. The Black Demon Wolf King was unable to dodge in time and was sent flying several meters away by the giant jaws Ant King. It crashed onto the ground. Not far away, Xiao looked at the sudden reversal of the situation. He felt sad for the Black Demon Wolf. According to what Man Yun had said, this giant jaws Ant King was comparable to a human warrior with the strength of 5 sovereigns, plus so many giant jaws ants. It would be difficult even if the Black Demon Wolf King didn't die. This giant jaws Ant King has probably been paying attention to the Black Demon Wolf King for a long time, as long as it absorbs the energy from the Black Demon Wolf Spirit Core. It might have the Black Demon Wolf King's demon eye. This way it will be able to control more giant jaws ants. Man Yun said gloomily. After knocking the Black Demon Wolf to the ground, the giant jaws Ant King let out a proud cry. When it saw the Black Demon Wolf King stand up unsteadily, its eyes revealed a human-like mocking expression. The Black Demon Wolf King stared at the giant jaws Ant King. Suddenly, as if it had thought of something, it pounced on the giant jaws Ant King and pressed him down tightly. After that, it let out a sorrowful roar, and the black color in its eyes quickly faded away, replaced by a ghastly white color. When Man Yun saw this scene, he immediately turned pale with fright and shouted out loudly, "Not good, it's going to self-destruct." Before he could say anything else, Man Yun pulled Xiao. With a flash of light, Man Yun's body grew by half and his qi also became stronger. After saying that he was going to run away, Man Yun took the lead and launched himself into the distance. Xiao had already flapped his heavenly phoenix wings when Man Yun shouted and rushed out at the same time as Man Yun. Both of them were extremely fast. They didn't even need to personally test how powerful the self-destruction of a spirit beast was. In just a few breaths of time, accompanied by a sorrowful roar from the Black Demon Wolf King behind them, an explosive sound was heard. The turbulent airflow pushed Xiao and the other man hundreds of meters away. Several trees near the center of the explosion were destroyed, causing dust to fill the sky. After being swept away by the strong air current for hundreds of meters, Xiao and Man Yun managed to stabilize their bodies. Man Yun turned around and looked at the explosion. Seeing the huge destructive force of the explosion, he couldn't help but let out a long sigh. He punched the tree trunk next to him, creating an obvious hole. It's over. The Black Demon Wolf wants to eliminate the giant jaws Ant King. It actually used its demon eyes to destroy the spirit core. Man Yun let out a sorrowful sigh. A target that he had found with great difficulty had been killed just like that. He didn't know when he would find another suitable one. It was less than 2 months until the end of the trial, and he still had to fight Man Li to the death. Thinking of this, Man Yun became irritated. Taking a few breaths, Man Yun smiled bitterly at Xiao and said, "I wanted to ask you for help, but now things have become like this." "Really?" Xiao acted as if he didn't hear him. He stared straight at the place where the explosion occurred. After a long while, he suddenly smiled and said, I wonder if Brother Man is interested in the Giant Jaws Ant of the Giant Jaws Ant King. If you're interested in more content, I've shared additional audio stories on my website link in the description below.